The Office of War Information created dozens of films listing do's and don'ts.
2 pair.
Beats me.
No good. 3-7.
Take the loot, pirate.
Well, time out for some food, gents.
Let's break this up a little early tonight, boys. Frank and I are running up to his cabin in the mountains early tomorrow morning.
Oh, Bob, I'm afraid we better call that off. I'm running a little short on gas.
Oh, don't let that worry you. I can let you have a couple of coupons, but don't forget where you got them.
Will the guy down at the corner take them?
Sure, he won't ask any questions. I didn't put my license number on them, so they could just as well be yours as mine.
Just a minute. Are these your coupons, Bob?
Yeah, I'm giving them to Frank. I got plenty.
How'd you get them?
It's easy. I buy them. I don't know where the guy I buy them from gets them, and I'm not asking any questions. Gets me extra gas, get it?
Yeah, I get it.
Hey, wait
a minute. You haven't got
As
the
a guy
right
who's
to-
up to his neck in this war effort, I've got every right. Oh, don't start waving the flag at me. I'm just as good an American as you are. I buy bonds, I give blood.
And steal gas, the blood of our war effort. From our limited supply of available crude oil, we have to supply our armed forces with billions of gallons of aviation gas and billions more of a special all-purpose gas for our ground forces. And from that same limited supply of crude oil, we have to make toluene for TNT.
24 films like these were made by the Hollywood studios themselves, with profits going to charity. Here, an infantry officer in Europe writes home to his mother.
Believe me, today we've been through some of the real stuff. The fellas are asleep now. They're half dead with exhaustion. They're filthy with sweat and dirt. But take my word for it, Mom. They're grand soldiers, every one of them. Tell every woman in our town, from one soldier to another, that I'm proud of them all. Say hello to Mrs. Zabinski. Tell her I think she's a good soldier, too. Say hello to Mrs. Carney, who organized the canteen down at the station. Yes, you're all good soldiers, Mom. We know how you're going without things so as to buy just one more war stamp or one more bond. I know what a kick you used to get out of new clothes. You're not fooling me now when you say you like your old things best. And you're not fooling me when you make exceptions for some of the other women in our town. There shouldn't be any exceptions. Just what does Mrs. Exception mean when she tells you she had to give up her Red Cross work because it didn't leave her time enough to get her hair done each week? And what does this other Mrs. Exception mean when she says she can't help at the canteen because they need her at the same time at a bridge party? And what does Miss Exception mean when she says she can't do a war job because they're all so monotonous and dirty? And what does this Mrs. Exception mean by complaining about high prices and then boasting of all the stuff she bought on the black market? These aren't exceptions, Mom. They're only slackers.
The most famous and most widely seen of all U.S. official wartime films were the 7 in the Why We Fight series, created by Frank Capra, director of such 30s Hollywood classics as It Happened One Night. Many of the industry's best writers, composers, directors, and editors worked anonymously on this series, which became required viewing for all military recruits.
In the jungles of New Guinea, on the barren shores of the Aleutian, in the tropic heat of the Pacific Islands, in the sub-zero cold of the skies over Germany, in China and Italy, Americans fighting. Yet 2 years ago, many had never fired a gun or seen the ocean or been off the ground. Americans fighting for their country while half a world away from it. Fighting for their country and for more than their country. Fighting for an idea.
At its studio in Vermont, America's favorite illustrator, Norman Rockwell, painted from life posters of the 4 freedoms, which President Roosevelt had said the country was fighting for. Freedom from what? And freedom of speech. Freedom from fear. lastly, freedom of worship.